Alright, so good evening, future RMTs. Our lecture is on automation in hematology. I'm Dr. Gabriel Paul Pascual, and I'll be lecture for tonight. Now, ang lecture po natin halos 1 hour lang. Actually, less than an hour lang siya. So I hope during the entire hour, you can join me, no? And also, pag may mga questions kayo, magtanong lang po kayo, no? Just feel free to ask questions sa chat box natin. Okay? Yan. Also, before we start, I would like to i-plug ko lang guys, no? Ongoing pa rin po yung enrollment natin for the August 2025 MedTech Board Review. Okay, so we have batches pa no, across all the branches. So batch 2 po ang open, no? Tapos sa online, we also have batch 3. No? Open pa lahat yan. I think I have the dates here. Ayan, okay. So for Baguio, pwede pa humabol sa second batch, but pwede rin namang batch 3 na kayo guys, no? Kung ayaw nyo nagmamadali. Sa Davao naman, mag-start po ang second batch na May 25 if you still want to join. Ganun din sa Manila, May 25. Sa Pampanga, nag-start na po yung second batch noong May 18, but kung gusto nyo humabol, okay lang din po. Okay? And online review po natin, we have our third batch on June 8. So if you have any inquiries, any questions regarding our review, please feel free to message me or message nyo po yung Facebook page natin. Ayan. And these are our top notchers over the years. All right, so let's go to the lecture proper. So for tonight, we'll be talking about the principles used in automation in hematology. So this would include electrical impedance, light scattering optical method, and flow cytometry. Okay. We'll also discuss histograms and scattergrams. And lastly, conditions that cause interferences in automated hematology analyzers. Okay? So ito po very relevant, no? Kasi in the recent board exams, marami pong questions regarding automation. Okay? So this is something that you really have to learn by heart. Okay? Especially yung basics po nito, no? Very important. All right? So let's talk about the first principle. First principle po is electrical impedance. So for the principle, cells pass through an aperture with an electrical current flowing through simultaneously. So yung aperture po, yan, maliit na butas yan, no? And look at the picture. And you have a small aperture. Through this aperture, may dumadaan po na electrical current. Okay? And then yung mga cells nyo, they would be made to pass through this aperture. Now, cells do not conduct current. No? They are poor conductors of electricity. So every time na may dadaan na cell dun sa butas, what do you think would happen? Ano mangyari guys pag may dumaan na cell dun sa butas? Okay, that cell would temporarily change electrical resistance. No, in short, no, somehow it would stop, no, iba-block niya iba-block niya yung electrical current from passing through. And yung change na yun, no, in electrical resistance, ire-record yan, no? Mare-record yan as a voltage pulse. Okay? So meaning, the more pulses that you have, no, the more disruptions in electrical current that you have, the more cells have passed through. Does that make sense? Nakuha nyo guys? So again, huwag nyo kakalimutan guys ha, cells are poor conductors of electricity. Okay? Ayan. So again, the disruptions in your electrical current would be recorded as pulses. The number of pulses generated is proportional to the number of cells present. Okay, the more pulses that you have, the higher is your cell count. Okay? The amplitude of the pulse, on the other hand, is proportional to the size of the cell. So hindi lang po yung number ng pulses ang nare-record. No? Nare-record din po yung amplitude or you could say yung size ng pulse. Okay? Kung mas malaki yung cell, mas malaki yung disruption. And of course, mas malaki din yung pulse natin. Yung pulse na yan, correlated siya with cell size. Okay? Yeah, so for a method, the sample is diluted in an isotonic conductive solution that preserves cell shape and characteristics. Dilutions used depend on instrument or methodology. Platelets are counted simultaneously with RBCs. No? For the RBC channel, tandaan nyo guys, no? Pag sinabing RBC channel, no, doon binibilang yung RBC. Doon sa RBC channel, sabay pong binibilang din yung platelets. Okay? How do you think would the machine differentiate between RBCs and platelets? Ano sa tingin niyo yung magiging characteristic na gagamitin ng machine to differentiate RBCs and platelets? Type nga sa chat box, guys. What characteristic? Kasi sabay silang bibilangin doon sa channel, di ba? Pero how would the machine differentiate na RBC ba to or platelet ba to? Okay? Anyone? Okay, very good. No, it is the size. No, yung size po ang gamit natin to differentiate them. Okay? Siyempre, yung mga platelets yung mas maliliit, no, di hamak na mas maliit sila. Okay? RBCs on the other hand are larger. And that actually presents a problem. No, kapag may mga giant platelets ka, no, they will be mistaken as RBCs. Or kung may mga microcytic RBC ka, ibig sabihin sobrang liit na RBC, they might be mistaken as platelets. No, kasi nga they're just being counted in one channel and ang differentiating characteristic lang nila, the size. Na-gets nyo? Okay? Now, the sample for WBC counting is mixed with the reagent to lyse RBCs. No? So, dun sa WBC channel nyo, the reagent should lyse the RBCs. No? Para yung RBCs hindi mabilang. Okay? In the WBC channel, hemoglobin measurement would also be done. You have a commercially available reagent that would lyse both lyse the RBC and convert your hemoglobin to cyanamide hemoglobin. So simultaneously nangyari rin po ito sa WBC channel, no, yung pagme-measure sa hemoglobin. Okay? And ang measurement ng hemoglobin, it also uses the cyanamide hemoglobin method. No, the same method that used in your manual. Sa automated, ganun din, no? Cyanamide hemoglobin method din ang gamit. Okay? Ito di-discuss ko to doon sa routine methods, no, sa hematology. But for now, no, it's beyond the scope of our discussion. Just for now, tandaan nyo guys, no, kung ano yung method sa automated, yun din yung automated sa manual. That's the cyanamide hemoglobin method. Okay? Thresholds are used to separate cell populations and subpopulations. Okay? Yung thresholds na yan, that would be based on the size. Okay? Kung ang method nyo or ang principle is electrical impedance, no, yung thresholds nyo na tinatawag, no, that is based on size. No, and that is used to separate cell populations. Okay? Using size, you can separate the WBCs into three only. Yun yung tinatawag na three-part differential. Now, you can only differentiate between lymphocytes, mononuclear cells, and granulocytes. Okay? Hindi tulad nung five-part differential na tinatawag. Sa five-part differential, lahat ng 5 WBCs ma-differentiate mo. 'Di ba? Pero kung electrical impedance lang ang gamit mo, you can only do a three-part differential kasi limited ka lang to size, no, as the defining characteristic. Okay? Mamaya mas maintindihan natin when we talk about the histographs. Okay? Hydrodynamic focusing. This is used in electrical impedance to reduce cell coincidence. Ito yung ginagamit po ng machine natin to make sure that paisa-isa lang yung mga cells na dumadaan sa aperture. Okay? That's called hydrodynamic focusing. Alright. Next principle is light scattering optical method. This principle uses flow cytometry, okay, which uses a laser to measure the light scattering properties of cells. Okay? So dito guys, what happens is yung cells nyo dadaan din sa aperture, no, isa-isa silang dadaan na ganyan, no, sa aperture. But as they pass through, a laser would hit them, no? May tatama na laser sa kanila. Yung laser na yon, it would be scattered. Okay? Parang ito, nasa picture. Yung laser na tatama dun sa cell, scatter yan. Some of the light would be scattered forward. Yun yung tinatawag na forward scatter. And some of the light would be scattered sideways. Yun naman yung tinatawag na side scatter. Okay? And this is very important. Bakit? Yung forward scatter, yun po ang correlated with the cell size. Tandaan nyo na, no? Tandaan nyo na to guys. No? Forward scatter correlated with cell size. Okay? Yung side scatter naman po, side scatter, correlated siya with cell granularity and lobularity. Okay, please memorize this now. Now, this is very important. The number of pulses generated is proportional to the number of cells present, just like in your electrical impedance method. Okay? So dito po, hindi lang yung number at hindi lang size ang na-measure or nakaka-characterize natin, no? Dito, aside from the size, you can also now characterize cell granularity and lobularity, which is not possible with electrical impedance alone. Okay? Now, dahil may additional po na characteristic, which is again cell granularity, we can now do the 5-part differential. No, this makes it possible now para ma-differentiate natin yung 5 WBCs nyo. Yun yung tinatawag na 5-part differential. Okay? Nagets po yun? Oh, let's review. Saan po correlated yung forward scatter? Type nga sa chat box. Okay, forward scatter, cell size. How about the side scatter? Alright, so cell granularity naman. Okay? Saan possible ang saan possible yung 3-part differential? Electrical impedance. Okay? 5-part differential, light scattering optical method. Okay? Sa mga hospitals, anong na-experience nyo? 3-part or 5-part? Usually 5-part yan, di ba? 3-part talaga? Hospital 3-part? Usually ang 3-part na-encounter ko lang yan sa mga freestanding eh. Mas mura kasi yung machine ng 3-part. Kaya yung mga freestanding ninyo, para makamura sila, no? Ang binibili lang nila ng machine yung 3-part differential. Yung 5-part differential, kailangan mo yun sa mga hospital kasi hahanapin yun ng mga doctors eh, di ba? Ayan. Yung mga freestanding medyo forgivable pa eh. Ayun. Now, let's go to the next principle. Next principle is flow cytometry. In flow cytometry, cells in suspension are labeled with one or more fluorescent compounds. So basically, parang light scattering optical method to, but on top of that, we're going to use fluorescent compounds as labels. Okay? And yung labeling na yan, specific. No, may label ka for stem cells, may label ka for myeloid lineage, etc. No, specific yan for various lineages. Okay? Yeah, the cell suspension is run under high pressure in a single narrow stream through a laser causing fluorescence excitation. Yan. Emitted light energy is detected by a photomultiplier tube and converted into computerized data. Data analysis provides information on cell number, cell size, and also composition. So ito yung mga sinasabi kong markers sa inyo guys. Okay? Kailangan ba i-memorize to? Yes. No, very, very important to. Pwede kayong tanungin no, sa boards na meron daw cell na positive for a particular marker o anong lineage niya. Ganun yung tanungan dyan. Okay? Point out ko lang yung mga ilang mahalaga, yung mga must knows natin. You would find here CD34. Now, please take note that CD34 is your marker for hematopoietic stem cells. Okay, paulit-ulit na tinatanong sa board exam yan. CD34 is the marker for hematopoietic stem cells. Okay? For the granulocytic or monocytic lineages, you have you have CD33, CD13, CD15, and CD14. Okay? Sa erythroid naman, tandaan niyo CD71. Kahit yun lang, no? CD71. For megakaryocytic, CD41, CD42, and CD61. Sa B lymphocytes naman, CD19, 20, and 22. Halos magkakasunod yan, di ba? 19, 20, 22. Sa T lymphocytes, puro single digit. CD2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8. Ang naskip lang yung CD6, di ba? CD2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8. These are T lymphocytes. Okay, again, you need to memorize this. Okay? The flow cytometer has 3 basic components. Now, these are fluidics, optics, and electronics. No, FOE. Yun lang naman yung tinatanong sa boards, no? Ano yung tatlong components natin ng flow cytometry? Again, these are fluidics, optics, and electronics. Okay? Ayan. Fluidics, you have a flow chamber for single cell separation, sheet fluid, and hydrodynamic focusing. So optics naman, you have here your excitation light sources. So and then dito po makita niyo yung mga examples. Now let's talk about histograms and scatter plots. Okay? Histograms utilizes impedance technology to represent cell number versus a measured property which is usually cell size. No, kadalasan pong histogram nyo is just cell number versus cell size. Okay? Ang histogram nyo, usually ginagamit to nung mga machines na naka-base lang sa electrical impedance. Okay? So ipa-plot lang nila is cell number versus cell size. And this is how it looks like. Yan. What you see here is the WBC histogram. And on the x-axis, you have your cell size. On the y-axis, you have your cell number. Okay? For the WBC histogram, ang reference size range nyo is from 35 to 450 femtoliters. Ibig sabihin, lahat ng cells sa WBC channel na may size na 35 to 450, they will be identified as WBCs. Okay? Kailangan mo tandaan yung number? Yes. No, 35 to 450. Okay? Cells in the WBC channel with a size of 35 to 90 femtoliters would be identified as lymphocytes. Okay? Yun yung first peak nyo. Ayan, no? And this is the first peak. And this would be your lymphocytes. From 90 to 160, these are mononuclear cells, which would include monocytes, reactive lymphocytes, and immature WBCs. Okay? And then yung third peak nyo, which is from 160 to 450, this would be identified as granulocytes. Okay? So ito yung sinasabi ko sa inyo kanina, guys. Ang pang-differentiate ng cell, size lang, no, in electrical impedance. Now, that's why in your electrical impedance, you can only do 3-part differential. Okay? Tandaan yung picture na to. No, yung mismong picture na yan, lumabas na yan sa board exam recently. Okay? Tapos pinapa-identify lang kung ano yung mga peaks na yan. Okay? Next, these are some causes of your abnormal WBC histogram. Pag nakita kayo ng population before 35 femtoliters, hindi po yun makakount as WBC. Okay? Yung population below 35, that might be due to nucleated RBCs, giant platelets, or clump platelets. Okay? Now, kapag naman may peak overlap at 90, meaning may peak between the first and second, may overlap no, between the first and second peaks, this may indicate reactive lymphocytes or blast cells. Okay? Ang reactive lymphocytes nyo kasi, compared to the usual lymphocyte, they are larger. So, kumbaga nagko-cross sila, no? Ibis na nandun sila sa first peak, somehow they cross over to the second peak. Ayan, those are reactive lymphocytes. Now, if there's a peak at 160, meaning may overlap, no, between your second and third peaks, this may indicate an increase in bands, immature neutrophils, eosinophils, or basophils. Or yung mga immature nyo na band, immature na neutrophils, etc., no, they would have a slightly larger size. Okay, so from the second peak, somehow they cross over going to the third peak. Nagkaka-overlap between the second and the third. Okay. Then lastly, if you have a population after 450 femtoliters, this may indicate a high granulocyte count. Now, this is your RBC histogram. Looking at the picture, you could see that the RBC histogram is depicted with the platelet histogram. Bakit? Kasi nga sabi natin kanina, yung platelets nyo, they're being counted also, no, in the RBC channel. Okay? Paano lang dinidifferentiate yung dalawa? They differentiated through the size. Okay? For RBCs, ang reference size range is 36 femtoliters and above. Yan. Basta any cell no, above 36, they would be identified as RBCs. The normal RBC histogram has a single peak between 70 to 110 femtoliters. and this correlates with your MCV. And then these are possible causes of an abnormal RBC histogram. Pag nakita kayo ng two peaks, ano ibig sabihin nun? Ibig sabihin meron kang dimorphic RBC population. No, may dalawa kang population na iba yung size, na magkaiba yung size. Okay? Let me give you an example. Ang maganda example nito guys, yung mga patients na nag-undergo ng blood transfusion. Okay? After blood transfusion, nandun pa rin yung original na mga RBCs nung recipient mo. Pero meron na rin mga bagong RBCs which would definitely have a different size. Okay? So if you do if you look at the RBC histogram, magiging dalawang peak siya, which would now represent the two different populations. Nagets nyo? Okay? An increase in the curve width would correlate with the RDW, no, with an increased RDW. Remember, yung RDW ninyo, it correlates with anisocytosis. Okay? It correlates with anisocytosis. Yan. Pag mas malapad yung RBC histogram, mas varied ang sizes. Ibig sabihin may anisocytosis ka. And of course, you would also see an increased RDW. Okay? What if the histogram shifts to the right? Ano ibig sabihin nun? Pag nag-shift to the right yung histogram nyo, that means that on average, the RBCs are larger or they are macrocytic. On the other hand, if the histogram shifts to the left, this means that the size is small. No, yung mga RBCs nyo, microcytic. Nagets po yun? Okay? So, okay matakot sa mga ganitong histogram, no? Kailangan nyo lang matutunan i-interpret yan, no? Ang pinakauna yung dapat malaman dito, no, yung kung ano yung nakaplat sa X at sa Y axis. No, pag alam nyo na yan, mas madali nyo siya ma-interpret. Now, for platelets, the reference size range is from 2 to 20 femtoliters. No, any cell which would have a measurement of 2 to 20, they'd be identified as platelets. Okay, tandaan nyo na yung number ha. 2 to 20 for the platelets. Okay? Ayan. Now, if you have a population or meron ka mga readings below 2 femtoliters, no, hindi na platelet yun. That would just be due to electrical interference. Okay? Above 20 femtoliters, this may indicate microcytic RBCs, schistocytes, giant platelets, or clump platelets. So maraming possible causes no, ng population above 20 femtoliters. Okay? So that's it for your histogram. So again, no, for histogram, usually ang pinaplot nyo is cell size versus cell count. Now, let's talk about scatter plots or scattergrams. So scatter plot or scattergram, you're going to plot two or more cell properties against each other. So usually ang pinaplot po dito is side scatter versus forward scatter. Okay? Tingnan niyo po yung nandito sa sa slide natin. Yan, ang nakaplot dito sa x-axis is forward scatter. Ang nakaplot naman sa y-axis, side scatter. Okay? So anong nire-represent ng forward scatter niyo ulit? Ano nire-represent ng forward scatter? Okay, it's the cell size. No? So yung nasa x-axis niyo, cell size basically. How about dito sa y-axis? You have the side scatter. Okay, so ang nire-represent naman ng y-axis, cell granularity. Ibig sabihin, no, if you're going to compare this cell, drawing lang ako saglit. If you're going to compare these cells versus these cells, sino po yung mas malaki? Yung nandito sa may right side. Diba? Ako nyo guys, if you're going to compare it with this one, definitely mas malaki yung mga nandito kasi they're more to the right. Gets? Now, how about the granularity? If you're going to compare A versus B, sino ang mas may granules? Sino mas granular? Sino mas granular? Remember, ang granularity nyo represented dito sa y-axis. So if you move from down, going up, no, the cells become more and more and more granular. So sino mas granular, itong A or itong B? Okay, so mas granular syempre yung nandito sa mas itaas. Yung population nyo, yung population B ninyo. Okay? Now you can combine these two characteristics and you can now use this, no, to identify your cells. Okay? So itong population B ninyo, malaki, tapos granular. What WBC would come into mind? What WBCs would come into mind? Yung mga granulocytes. 'Di ba? Ito naman guys, yung mga nandito sa baba, less granular sila, no? Less granular sila. Yung mas maliit ito, this would be the lymphocytes, and then yung mga mas malalaki, this would be the monocytes. Nagets nyo? So dalawang characteristic po ang plinot against each other. Okay? Yan. WBC scatter plots are displayed on a monitor and color-coded for different subpopulations. Yan. By the way guys, huwag niyo i-memorize na for the scatter plots, huwag niyo i-memorize kung ano yung nasa X or ano yung nasa Y. Kasi depende sa machine yan, no? Minsan na pagbabaliktad yan. So mahalaga, no, pagkakita niyo sa scatter plot, tignan niyo agad kung ano yung nasa X at ano yung nasa Y, no, before interpret. Kasi ang problema dyan, baka nasa baba pa yung side scatter. O, edi iba na yung maging interpretation mo, di ba? Oh, okay. Now let's talk about conditions. No, common conditions that cause interference on your hematology analyzers. The table that you see here on my slide is from Rodax. No, this is a very important table. No, kailangan niyo siyang kabisaduhin. Kasi kadalasan yung mga questions sa automation dito po nagre-revolve. So bibigyan kayo ng case, tapos papakitaan kayo ng mga ng CBC na ng mga results, tapos tatanungin kayo ano yung possible na condition. Or kung hindi mo yung mismong condition yung tinatanong, pwede rin kayong tanungin ano yung mga corrective action, ano yung rationale, etc. Alright? So we'll go over this one. Dadaanan natin ang row by row. Isa-isay natin. Ayan, starting with your cold agglutinins. Ito guys, ito lang din yung nasa table. No, pinagsama, inano ko lang siya. Yung isang row, nilagay ko lang sa isang slide, no, for easier discussion. So first condition is lipemia or icterus. What parameters would be affected? No? Ang affected po is hemoglobin and MCH. Why? So laging why dapat ang tanong. Okay. Ang lipemia or ang icterus, they both cause, no, turbidity. They would increase turbidity. And you have to remember that the method for hemoglobin is spectrophotometric. Okay? Pag sinabing spectrophotometric, nakarely siya sa anong law? Anong law yun sa spectrophotometry? Okay. So it follows the Beer's law. Okay? Ano sabi ni Beer's law? The higher is the concentration, the higher is the absorbance. Okay? Now, pag may turbidity ka, this would cause an increase in the absorbance. And as a result, your reading would be falsely increased. Yung hemoglobin mo, magpo-false increase yan. Nagets nyo? So, yun yung effect ng lipemia or icterus. Okay? It's because of the increasing turbidity. Now, bakit damay si MCH? Oh, guys, ano ba ang formula for MCH? Anong formula for MCH? Hemoglobin divided by what? RBC times 10. So looking at the formula, kitang-kita niyo naman guys na may hemoglobin sa formula. Yung hemoglobin nyo nasa numerator. So pag tumaas ang hemoglobin, definitely your MCH would also increase. Okay? Now, how do you spot this? Ang instrument indicator nyo dito is a violation of your rule of 3. Do you remember the rule of 3? Naalala niyo ba siya guys? Alright, so do you remember your rule of 3? Ang sabi ng rule of 3, if you multiply hemoglobin by 3, it should approximate your hematocrit, no? Plus minus 3. Halimbawa, let's say your hemoglobin is 15. Ano dapat yung ina-expect mo na hematocrit? Ang ina-expect mo dapat na hematocrit is 15 times 3 or 45 plus minus 3. So meaning 45 minus 3, 42. 45 plus 3, 48. Gets? Pag ang hemoglobin ng pasyente is 15, ang hematocrit niya should be somewhere between 42 and 48. Now, if it is too low or too high, ibig sabihin may violation ka ng rule of 3. Ibig sabihin may possible na technical problem. Nagets nyo? Ayan. So, ang flag dito or ang warning po dito, ang indicator po dito, violation ng rule of 3. Okay, very good. Alright, moving on. By the way, anong correction dito? Ang correction po dito is plasma replacement. You're going to replace plasma with an equal volume. Another condition is hemolysis. What do you think would be the parameters affected by hemolysis? Okay, definitely, pag may hemolysis po, the RBC count would be decreased. Diba? Which makes sense. Kasi pag nag-hemolyze yung RBC, di mo na siya mabibilang. Diba? Ayun, decrease ang RBC. Decrease din ang hematocrit. Bakit decrease ang hematocrit? Bakit decrease ang hematocrit? Kasi guys, yung hematocrit nyo sa automated analyzers, computed value siya. Ang formula ng hematocrit sa automated analyzers, MCV times RBC, MCV times RBC over 10. Yan ang formula ng hematocrit sa automated analyzers. So kita nyo naman sa formula, may RBC. Pag nag-decrease ang RBC, magde-decrease din ang hematocrit mo. Okay? And for the rationale, the RBCs are lies and they are not counted. For instrument indicator, ang indicator mo rin dito is a violation of your rule of 3. Hindi nagmamatch yung rule of 3 mo. Okay? Saan nyo ito na-encounter? Dun sa previous na slide, di ba? Sa lipemia or icterus, violation din ng rule of 3 ang indicator. Okay? So anong significance nito? Ibig sabihin, no, pag may violation ng rule of 3, aside from lipemia or icterus, you also have to consider possible hemolysis. Okay? Question. Pag-isipan nyo guys. How do you differentiate between the two? Kasi parehong rule of 3 ang indicator eh. 'Di ba? How would you differentiate na may lipemia or mayroong hemolysis? Ano yung easiest way to do it? What would be the easiest way to do it? Okay, very good. Nakasagot na guys. Balikan mo yung specimen. Hanapin mo yung specimen, silipin mo siya. Yun lang, yun yung pinakamadaling gawin, no? Kung may lipemia yan, makita mo yun. Kung may hemolysis yan, makita mo din yun. Nakuha? Oh, ano ang corrective action dito? Oh, ito walang correction po ito. You have to request for a new specimen. Okay? Are we clear so far? Do you have questions? May natututunan po ba tayo? Are we learning something tonight? Yan, madali lang po, ano? Okay. Moving on. Lysis-resistant RBCs with abnormal hemoglobins. O, ano maging effect nito? Okay, this would cause an increase in your WBC and also an increase in hemoglobin. So again, the question is why? Okay. Unahin natin yung increased WBC. Bakit tumataas yung mga WBCs? Remember, sa WBC channel, the RBCs should be lysed for them to not be counted. Kapag may presence ka ng lysis-resistant RBCs, what would happen? Yung mga RBCs na yun, hindi sila malalize and mabibilang sila as what? And they would be counted as WBCs. Hence, the increased WBC count. Gets? Alright. Bakit naman increase ang hemoglobin? Bakit mag-increase ang hemoglobin? Okay, mag-increase po ang hemoglobin kasi po, in the presence of abnormal hemoglobins, nag-increase po yung turbidity natin. No? This could also cause increased turbidity in your WBC channel. And pag nag-increase ang turbidity, what would happen? Oh, magfo-false increase ang absorbance. Pag nag-false increase ang absorbance, false increase ng hemoglobin reading natin. Okay? Nakuha, class? Alright. Your instrument indicator would be interference at noise, WBC interface in your histogram or cytogram. Okay? Yan, pag tinignan niyo yung ano niyo, yung WBC histograms ninyo, merong abnormal doon na population. Yun lang ibig sabihin nun, guys, no? Sinisimplify ko lang for you. Okay, next. Microcytes or schistocytes. Pag sinabi microcytes, these are small RBCs. Yung mga schistocytes naman, they are RBC fragments. So ano magiging effect nito? Okay, remember, yung RBCs nyo, they're being counted together with the platelets on the same channel. So pag may maliliit ka na RBC or may mga RBC fragments ka, no, because of their small size, they'll be miscounted as platelets. Okay, kaya tignan nyo to. Yung RBC count nyo magde-decrease. Bakit? Yung mga dapat na bilang na RBC, mabibilang as what? No, mabibilang sila as platelets. Okay? Mababa ang RBC count, pero mataas ang platelet count. Ayan po yung indicator nyo. Okay? Next. Yan, nucleated RBCs, megakaryocyte fragments, or micro-megakaryoblast. So lahat po nito, they may be misidentified as WBCs. Okay? Bakit mami-misidentify nucleated RBC as WBC? Siguro iniisip nyo, di ba magkaiba namang channel yan? Eh bakit mami-misidentify nucleated RBC as WBC? Kasi yung mga nucleated RBCs nyo, they are lysis resistant. Okay? Remember sa WBC channel, nagkakaroon ng hemolysis para matanggal sana yung mga RBCs, para hindi sana mabilang yung mga RBCs. Pero yung mga nucleated RBCs na yan, they are lysis resistant. So they would be miscounted as WBCs. Okay? Platelet clumps. Now, platelet clumps on the other hand, would not be counted as platelets. No, instead, they would be registered as WBCs. Okay? Sa WBC channel, nandun pa rin naman yung platelets nyo. Hindi lang sila pinapansin. Yun nga lang, pagka may platelet clump ka na, no, and masyadong malaki yung clump na yun, it would now be recognized sa WBC. Kaya nga yung WBC count mo tataas as a result of the platelet clumps. Okay? Now, mahalaga po yung corrective action dito kasi natatanong to, guys. Yan, natatanong to sa boards. Okay? Anong corrective action nyo? Ang corrective action nyo is to redraw your specimen in sodium citrate and multiply the result by 1.1. Okay? Tandaan niyo yung factor, ha? 1.1. Okay? WBC of greater than 100. Okay. WBC count of greater than 100,000 per microliter. Ano naman ang effect nito? Okay. Kapag may WBC count ka of greater than 100,000, nagkakaroon din po ng turbidity. So pag may turbidity, anong parameter ang tataas? Tataas ang hemoglobin. Okay? Now, at the same time, yung sobrang daming WBCs na yan, they would also be miscounted in the RBC channel. So ano mangyayari? Yung RBC count ninyo tataas. And as a result, the hematocrit would be incorrect. Okay? Nagets nyo? Next na tayo agad. Leukemia, especially with chemotherapy. Ano nangyari? Pag nagki-chemotherapy yung pasyente, you are destroying the leukemic cells. 'Di ba? Pag nasira yung mga leukemic cells na yan, magkakaroon ka ng fragments. No, yung mga fragments na yan, they will be miscounted as what? They will be miscounted as platelets. Gets? Kaya ang platelet count nyo tataas. On the other hand, the WBCs would be decreased. Okay? Next is old specimen. For old specimens, tandaan niyo po, yung mga cells nyo, nagsiswell. So, anong mangyayari? Yung RBCs mo, magsiswell, tataas ang MCV. Ganun din ang platelets. No, pag nag-swell ang platelets, tataas din ang MPV. MPV, by the way, is mean platelet volume. Okay? Platelets, on the other hand, would be decreased. Why? Kasi ang platelets nyo, nagde-degenerate sila over time. No, nasisira sila over time. Cold agglutinin. Ang cold agglutinin, so antibodies yan. These antibodies cause agglutination in cold temperature. Okay? Do you think these are IgG or IgM? Balikan niyo mga principles sa immunosero. Ano kaya sila? Okay. Most likely they are IgM. No, yung mga nagko-cause ng agglutination at cold temperatures, they are IgM. Now, ano magiging effect po nito? So first parameter affected is the RBC count. The RBC count would be decreased. Why? Kasi yung mga RBCs nyo, drawing ko lang, yung mga RBCs nyo, no, instead of being counted separately, pagka-agglutinated sila, they will be counted as one. So ano mangyari? Magde-decrease yung count mo. Gets? On the other hand, the MCV would increase. Bakit? Yung isang cell na to, yung agglutination na yan, no? Pag dumaan siya doon sa aperture, bibilangin siya as one cell and yung size niya magiging malaki. No, ma-register malaki yung size. Malaki yung pulse size. So dahil malaki yung pulse size, malaki din yung cell size na ma-register. Nagets nyo? Ito yung hahanapin nyo dito, guys. Yan, basta makita niyo itong combination na to. Paborito itong tanong, no? Not just local words, but also for the ECP. Pag nakita yung combination ng mababang RBC count, tapos mataas yung MCV, most likely that is due to cold agglutination. Okay? Ang isa pang paborito tanong dito is yung correction. How do you correct this? Recollection ba agad? Magko-collect ka ba agad ng specimen? Magre-recollect ka ba agad ng specimen? No. Ang corrective action po dito is warming the specimen to 37 degrees Celsius. Remember yung agglutination nyo for your cold agglutinins, it happens at cold temp. Okay? So para mawala yan, you warm your specimen to 37 degrees Celsius.